I was thinking about tests, and one of the things was, life. I believe life is a test. And the thing is a lot of times, being human, being myself, I wonder if the test that others are given is easier, or if their test is longer or shorter, or maybe if their questions are in the same order, or are they jumbled. Is their test multiple choice? Is their test fill in the blank? Is their test essay? Is their test a lot more difficult than mine, or easier to say? And it got me thinking, it's like, I really believe, and God is the creator of our test, and God created us. And there's no test, and there's no two tests that are the same, just like there's no two people that are the same. And a lot of times as humans, let's just say, we take a test, and a lot rides on this. And we look to our partner, or we look to our neighbor, or we look somewhere else trying to get answers. And maybe our neighbor is taking a different test. Maybe our neighbor has been given and blessed more, say, with the things that we count as blessings, as a nicer car, or they're not divorced, or they have 3 kids, and they get to stay home on the weekends, and they have a nice pool, and if I had their test, my test, I would ace that. I think I could ace that. But I want to remind you, it says, those who are trusted with something valuable must show that they are worthy of that trust. And also, with that responsibility, with all that blessing, they are responsible. They have to be stewards of, if God blessed them with a lot of money, He's going to say, what did you do with that money? So sometimes their test may seem easier than the one you're taking. And some are, more difficult, it seems, than others. Some tests end abruptly. Some tests end shorter than others. Some people are called home earlier, or their life ends tragically. And I believe God created their test, and I don't believe they're going to be graded on the same grading scale of mine. So, if our tests are all different, let's think about this. It's impossible for God to grade us with the same key. I've done that before when I've graded some of my tests in class, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have completely failed this. Well, I have a test version A, B, or C, and maybe it's because I didn't circle that one in before I put it through the computer, or maybe I got completely messed up on a question in the order, a number, the version is wrong, whatever it could be. And that person that took the test could be completely correct, but I could be grading it with the wrong key. So, the other thing we do is we want to grade our test with someone else's key, to their test. We want to, I'm not doing what they're doing, or my sin is not, at least I have my family together, or I didn't do this today, or, at least we don't stay up all night partying, or at least I'm not that friend that does stuff on the weekends that we know is not good. But I have to ask you, maybe that's the next question on their test. And maybe you're going to have a question on that comes through your life that doesn't make sense. A lot of times people that are going through seasons of darkness, or even seasons of light, maybe they're on a great success. They just had the most success of their life and career or whatever that be. And they walk away from it. They walk away from it to go pursue something else that just doesn't make sense. Because I'm looking at it through my test. Well, my question doesn't say that, so well, maybe that's the next question on their test. And who are we to know? Who are we to judge if that is the next question or answer or the next question on their test? So it got me thinking. I read from 1 Corinthians 4. I'll start with verse 3. It says, I care very little if I am judged by you or by any human court indeed. I do not even judge myself. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore judge nothing before the appointed time or before the test is up. Wait till the Lord comes. He will bring light to what is hidden in darkness. All these people that feel like their life is together and whatever, that's got sin deep into their heart or doing things that are not holy or not something that they should be doing. He will bring light to what is hidden in darkness, and he will expose the motives of men's hearts. And at that time, each will receive his praise from God. Or the version, if you want to, it says, I'll get to that in a minute. But the next thing is, the thing that all tests, especially these tests we're talking about, they all have two things in common. They all end when the Creator says time is up. And so we don't know when that will be. We don't know why someone's test ended earlier than ours. Maybe it's shorter, maybe it's longer. Or maybe they're still working on it. Or maybe they're going to go back and correct that answer and undo that wrong. Try to, but they can't ultimately erase it. God can. Jesus can. And then the other thing that they have in common is when that test is up, they all return to the Creator to be graded. Now, this is the pivotal point. It says that since you have been raised to new life in Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Colossians 3:1. He is the greater. So you're going to have everybody up there at the gate. And we're all going to have our test. And some of us are going to be known by Jesus, and some of us are not. And those that are known by Jesus are pointed out, and he can correct the wrongs on their test before it's ultimately handed to the Lord. But those that don't, you never claimed me on earth. You never gave me glory. You lived apart from me. You never acknowledged me on earth. So I'm not going to acknowledge you here. So what test are you taking? And how are you being tested? And really look out and see that, there's a lot of little tests within the big test. And ultimately, Jesus sets the curve by being perfect, and we want him to be able to have the last word and correct our wrongs.